Do you think I am a terrorist? My struggle for equality in a media influenced world. Imagine walking down Collins Street on a warm, sunny day when a police officer suddenly barks, "Give me your ID!" You innocently assume it's a random security check, so you hand your ID over. You ask, "Why?" And the officer replies, "We thought you were a terrorist because of your brown tone and beard." To avoid an assault charge, you hastily put your ID back into your wallet whilst controlling your fury and walk briskly to your destination. Put yourself in my shoes. You tell me who is using intimidation to create fear, me or the police officer. Most people believe all Muslims are terrorists. However, I believe only some are. I believe the incorrect justification by the media has fueled this oppression and discrimination against Muslims. A recent study by George State University proved that the media does not cover all terrorist attacks the same way. Rather, there is drastically more coverage to attacks by Muslims, particularly foreign-born Muslims. When was the last time you heard the media refer to those who attack abortion clinics as Christian terrorists? After all, Australia is a so-called Christian nation, so looking at an enemy in our own backyard makes us more uncomfortable. I am tired of the word terrorist not being used when the suspect in a terrorist attack is a non-Muslim. I am tired of the mentally disabled label used as an excuse for an attack by a Caucasian. I am tired of seeing attacks on school children not receiving the same coverage. Is it all just for ratings? The FBI analyzed terrorist attacks on US soil from 1980 to 2005 and found that extreme left-wing groups tripled attacks committed by Muslims. Other studies have shown that only some terrorist attacks are committed by Muslims. A study by the University of North Carolina showed that less than 0.0002% of Americans killed since 9/11 were killed by Muslims. Think about that for a second. An even more alarming statistic is the fact that in 2013, Americans were more likely to be killed by a toddler with a gun than they were by a so-called Muslim terrorist. I understand that some Muslims carry out attacks in the name of Islam to strike fear in our hearts. Manhar and Monis strive to do so. He held 18 people hostage in the Sydney Link Cafe for over 16 hours. Police assumed it was a terrorist attack from the Islamic State flag covering the shopfront. However, the Royal Commission proved he was mentally unstable. Many Muslims condemned the attacks, including myself, and showed their solidarity with non-Muslims. I stood with those who suffered at Martin Place. We must open our eyes and use our brains to prevent discrimination against all Muslims. We must not blame all Muslims for an attack by a single person or a small faction. The writer Christopher Hitchens said, "Islamophobia is a word created by fascists and used by cowards to manipulate morons." Behind the scarf or beard is a real human being with feelings and emotions just like you. They pay taxes, go to the same school as you, and even drive on the same roads. There is no us and there is no them. When a drunk driver kills a person, we never blame the car manufacturer for the violent death. We have no right to blame the company just because one of their cars was hijacked by a reckless person for destruction. What right does it give us to blame the entire company? None. None at all. We understand blame cannot be shifted onto an entire company, which produces stringently tested safe vehicles. The fault lies with the drunk individual. So what right do we have to blame an entire religion of over 1.3 billion, that's right, billion peaceful people just because of the actions of a few? If we do, we're only one step away from Nazism. We must work together to stop stoking the flame of hatred and treat others with respect. I am tired of Islamophobia. We cannot choose who we interact with, for we live in a globalized world where distinct cultural boundaries do not exist. At the core of our essence, we are all human beings. Lest we forget the nomads who built our country. In the late 1800s, Muslim Afghan nomads enabled the construction of critical infrastructure through their camel trains. They were trusted in society and were a popular choice for carting beer and spirits to the hotels in the goldfields because they didn't drink alcohol. Their contributions led to economic prosperity and the assimilation of culture. We can re-establish this trust by treating everyone in Australia and around the world as a human being with respect and compassion. Muslims are taught this in the Holy Quran. In chapter 60, verse 8, it states, "We must be righteous towards non-Muslims and act justly towards them." Imagine, instead of aggressively being asked for your ID, the police officer starts with, "G'day mate, could I please see your ID? We're just conducting a routine security check, training the cadets." I'm sure you would gladly hand over your ID and continue on your journey. We can make this utopia a reality. How? Well, we must not automatically associate the words Muslim and terrorist if the media tells us to. I will not deny that terrorism is a real threat and danger to our society, because it certainly is. However, we must make our own judgment. As an Australian Muslim, I am tired of the discrimination. I plead you all to deeply consider the facts mentioned today. I'm just saying, watch out for those toddlers too.